Welcome everyone, I'm Spiro. This week at Newsbud, our Russia expert covers the plans for a new internet designed to avoid the prying eyes of Western government surveillance agencies like the NSA. Our China expert covers the expansion of that same surveillance state in Australia. Our newest addition to the Newsbud team, William Engdahl, covers the de-dollarization agenda. But first, Sibel Edmonds and the Newsbud crew will be traveling to Austin, Texas to unmask Fethullah Gulen on December 12th, and you're invited. Join Sibel Edmonds and the award-winning director of the documentary film Killing Ed in front of the state capitol in Austin, Texas at 10 a.m. on Tuesday, December 12th, as we expose the money laundering and political kickback machine hidden behind the largest charter school operation in America, and confront the politicians they have in their pocket. Visit newsbud.com for all the details. If you're unable to attend this event, make sure you show your support by donating to Newsbud's fundraiser so we can continue to keep this operation running and hold these type of events across the country. Now, we are only funded through your subscriptions and donations, nothing else, so do your share and support this operation that was founded by FBI whistleblower Sibel Edmonds, who risked everything to bring the truth to the people. Now I'm going to show you what Newsbud has published just in the last week alone, so you can see that a Newsbud membership is well worth it. And when you join, your price is locked in and will never increase, and your membership will provide you with full access to all of Newsbud's exclusive content 7 days a week. Now this week, Newsbud's newest show premiered called A Different View with William Engdahl. His first episode was titled Arrest Warrant Issued for Key CIA Gulen Handler. The award-winning geopolitical analyst William Engdahl breaks down the significance of this latest development, as Turkey now has started to issue arrest warrants for those involved in the failed coup attempt of last year. Find out the CIA's and Graham Fuller's involvement in lots of shady activity, including the attempted coup in Turkey, the Boston bombing, and the wanted terrorist Fethullah Gulen, in this episode that's open to all. But this is really a two-part episode, as the second half is focused on a sneak attack to allow the European Union to renew Monsanto's license for their glyphosate weed killer compound known as Roundup. William Engdahl discusses the real issues around glyphosate and reveals a deeper and far more alarming story around the world's most used weed killer, sprayed on all GMO crops that go into our food chain. Engdahl is the man who wrote the book. He is the author of the international bestseller Seeds of Destruction, The Hidden Agenda of Genetic Manipulation, as he reveals how the EU approval was based on a pyramid of fraudulent rulings and Monsanto lies.
It's not so much glyphosate that's the problem. Glyphosate is problem enough. But it's glyphosate in combination with what Monsanto calls trade secret adjuvants. But the adjuvants used in glyphosate by Monsanto, the trade secret ingredients, according to independent tests at the University Caen in France by Gilles-Éric Seralini and his research group of toxicologists and biologists, the adjuvants added to glyphosate make Roundup, Monsanto's Roundup, 2,000 times more toxic in the minimum doses than simply glyphosate alone. They did a sneaky job in getting this thing ramped through. But as I say, the real toxicity is not glyphosate. In a way, this is a red herring. The real toxicity is something we're not allowed independently to test, and that is the totality of the cocktail that's called Roundup. What are those additives? And they've been tested to be 2,000 more times toxic than simple glyphosate alone. So we are doing a beautiful job of eugenics through these herbicides, because we're spraying that on the foods that we and our children eat every day on the dinner table. We're spraying that in huge doses because they're not effective after a certain period of time. So we're overspraying to kill weeds, and in the process, killing us slowly, as the song goes.
Find out how the agricultural minister is working against the people's interests in this Newsbud exclusive video that's available now and open to everyone. But to see all future episodes of William Engdahl's show, you need to join the Newsbud community today. Now this week on Newsbud's Geopolitical Report with Kurt Nimmo, Nimmo sheds a light on the U.S. war propaganda machine. Now, I really enjoyed watching this video by Nimmo, as he offers a unique perspective through his own experience growing up at a time when the anti-Russia media and government propaganda was so heavy that everyone thought they were going to be nuked at any moment. And of course, the war budgets skyrocketed. Now this video is titled Nuked at 9, which I really didn't understand until I started watching the video when I realized that Nimmo was 9 years old when the nation was traumatized by the pro-war propaganda.
Robert Kennedy, or the CIA's McCone, asked if it would be possible to manufacture Soviet aircraft. They wanted to use the planes for a deception operation. It was proposed Soviet jets would be used to either attack enemy installations or appear to attack friendlies. This would provide an excuse to intervene and start a war with the Soviet Union. The government was busy producing an endless stream of propaganda, warning that evil Soviets were about to nuke America.
Now the full video is available now at Newsbud for community members. Non-members can watch and share at Newsbud Vimeo On Demand. Now, speaking of skyrocketing military budgets, every month Newsbud publishes a one-of-a-kind report detailing the U.S. military spending for the previous month. This is an eye-opening report that sheds a light on how the military-industrial complex is spending your hard-earned tax dollars at a staggering rate. In November, the Department of Defense spent over $23 billion on weapons of war. Now, this report details what weapons are being bought and sold, who is getting these weapons, including foreign military sales that the United States is supplying to undemocratic regimes all around the world. Now, the full report is available now for everyone at newsbud.com. In this week's edition of Newsbud's Russian Newspaper Monitor, Professor Philip Kovacevic reports on how the U.S. hegemonic position as the world's sole superpower is being undermined more and more every day. Find out which sovereign African country is openly pleading for Russia to protect them from the greatest threat they have ever faced, the USA. Professor Kovacevic also explains how and why the BRICS nations may be attempting to create their own internet in an effort to isolate themselves from the surveillance and cyber attacks from the Western intelligence agencies such as the CIA and the NSA. Plus, the latest on how and why the U.S. plans to extend their illegal occupation in Syria. Now, just like all Newsbud productions, members have 24/7 access, but now non-members can view and share at Newsbud Vimeo On Demand. Now, this week, Newsbud published an exclusive article by William Engdahl, and it's titled Netanyahu's Real Agenda for the Golan Heights. This is an extremely interesting article that is currently the most popular post at newsbud.com, as the article sheds some light on why Israel is so determined to maintain the illegal occupation of the Golan Heights. Also, find out how Lord Jacob Rothschild, Rupert Murdoch, Dick Cheney, and James Woolsey, along with many others, fit into this equation, as it seems the U.S. will continue to support Israel no matter what. Now, the full article is available now for Newsbud community members. This week on Newsbud's China Watch, Peter Lee breaks down the recent developments with North Korea and their latest missile launch. Plus, find out about the major blacked-out story of how the U.S. national security state executed a takeover in Australia and how the pocketed media played a role in making it all happen.
Meanwhile, the battle is on to keep the PRC from winning the Australian corner of the China containment project. As usual, the biggest story in Asia is the one nobody was supposed to notice. Well, I did. I want to start off by making a statement that I think is important to understand what's going on in Australia with the furor over Chinese influence. Here it is. The Australian China Hawk promise to its allies is that Australia will never, ever elect a pro-Chinese government again. And the US sure didn't forget, and it did something about it, with a lot of help from Australia's Team America. That is, the Australian Milstech establishment of spooks, military types, journos, and academics taking their cues from America's Five Eyes intelligence partner in Australia, the Australian Security Intelligence Organization.
This episode and all of Newsbud's latest can be seen right now by Newsbud subscribing members. If you're not a member, Vimeo On Demand is your ticket. Now, one of the biggest stories that you will not see reported by the media was covered this week on Newsbud's newest show, A Different View with William Engdahl, titled De-Dollarization, China and Russia Lay Ground for Alternative to Dollar System. Now, this is a huge story that will have major ramifications and be devastating for the U.S. economy if and when the dollar loses its position as the world reserve currency. Engdahl breaks down two major related stories in this must-see episode that's available now exclusively for Newsbud community members. Non-members can watch and share at Newsbud Vimeo On Demand. Now this week, Newsbud published an exclusive article by Christoph Yerman, who is based in Germany, explaining the current political dispute taking place in Germany as Angela Merkel looks to steer Germany away from Vladimir Putin and Russia towards the US and NATO, as more and more Germans think that Germany should set its own foreign policy instead of allowing the US and NATO to dictate it for them. As this article points out, this could have far-reaching ramifications not only for U.S.-German relations, but for the increasingly significant geopolitical landscape of Eurasia. The full article is available now for members at newsbud.com. Now, Newsbud also offers our own aggregated news, and we call it Sibel's Picks. It's the best source for aggregated news online. Our community members love it. I look at it on a daily basis. Newsbud's founder, Sibel Edmonds, handpicks each story herself. You get about 90 to 100 links a week, and you get all of this: the videos, the articles, Sibel's Picks, the roundtables, the interviews, investigative reports, and much more exclusively available for Newsbud activist community members. So be sure to sign up today, and once you subscribe, your price is locked in and will never increase. We want to deliver the best for our activist community members, but we need your support to do so, as Newsbud is 100% independent and people-funded. Now don't forget, this week, Sibel Edmonds, the Newsbud crew, and Mark S. Hall will be live in front of the Texas State Capitol in Austin at 10 a.m., giving a speech and holding the pocketed politicians accountable. Anyone and everyone in the Austin, Texas area, show up and attend this event. If you're unable to make it, be sure to support Newsbud's fundraiser. I'm Spiro for Newsbud, and stay tuned for next week's lineup.
A whole bunch of important news has broken today.
Assad has used chemical weapons before.
I assume similar activity is going on.
What does the president say when you look at history?
I don't think that's true.
Well, this is just another load of nonsense.
Picture is mixed.
Seems like the script has come from the above.
Spiro for Newsbud.com. We have breaking news this morning.
The single most important operation of the CIA worldwide.
And I'm talking about the criminals in the United States of America, American citizens.